Everybody ready to go? Let's go ahead and call the June 16th, 2021 APC public hearing to order. With that, Mr. Burns, would you call the roll, please?
Jackson Bogan.
Here.
Larry Leverins.
Here.
Roland Winger.
Here.
Gary Schroeder.
Here.
Jerry Reynolds.
Here.
Greg Jones. Greg Jones. Jake Gray. Jake.
Correction, Bob Metzger.
There you go. Bob Metzger.
Here.
You are here. Diana Looper.
Here.
Vicki Pearl.
Here.
Michelle Dennis.
Here.
Tom Murtaugh.
Present.
Perry Brown. Perry Brown. Tracy Brown.
Here.
Jason Domkowski.
Here.
Lisa Dullum.
Here.
Kathy Parker.
Here.
Carla Snodgrass. A quorum is present.
Thank you, sir. Briefing session. Mr. Hiddle?
Thank you. All cases on the agenda are set to be heard tonight.
Excellent. Approval of the minutes.
I move we approve the minutes from the May 19th, 2021 meeting as submitted.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. New business. I did not bring the list with me for the new business appointing committee assignments. Do we need to make that part of the record?
We discussed that on email, and I think Eric agreed that we should make it part of the record. I don't know that it has to be done tonight versus next time.
Let's punt that till next meeting, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
I move we hear and approve the request for a primary approval extension for Purdue Research Park Phase 3, Part 2, S4122.
Second.
Mr. O'Gara.
Okay, this would be the second 2-year extension of the primary approval originally granted back in July of 2009. Preliminary plat includes 17 lots. We'll go ahead and, obviously it's a, you can see the zoning here. We've got industrial and commercial. Go ahead and, there's the site overall. Obviously things are starting to fill in bit by bit. Here's the plat. Includes 17 lots on a little over 95 acres, plus 3 outlots. In the last 12 years, 2 sets of construction plans have been approved, and 3 final plats have been recorded for 5 lots. Remaining 68-plus acres will require approval construction plans for the rest of the infrastructure, as well as to allow lots to be recorded. Staff does not believe there have been any changes in zoning or subdivision or regulations since '09 that would warrant revisions to the original primary approval. So we are recommending approval of the second 2-year extension. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. O'Gara. Petitioner's representative wishing to speak on this?
Good evening. I'm Marianne Owen from law firm of Stewart and Brannigan. It's a pleasure to see everyone. We have a simple request. Please approve this simple request to extend this primary approval for another 2 years. Staff report says everything about this request, although Jeremy Slater is here this evening from PRF to answer any questions you have, and I could do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Owen. Do we have any questions from the commission members? Hearing none, anyone wishing to speak in favor or opposed to this? Hearing none, we have our ballot.
President, we have a member of the audience here that has a question. You want to take it?
Was it in regards to this petition? Yes, we'll go ahead and accept the question. I'll be honest, the votes have already taken place, but please feel free to.
Nothing in opposition.
Okay.
Just more as a matter of fact, I'm curious.
Come on up.
Ma'am, if you could come up and please state your name and address for the record, your firstborn child's name.
Favorite color?
My name is Julie Kovacic, and we live in the Salida Vista subdivision there, and our backyard faces the vacant Purdue Research property. So I guess, I'm just wondering, the certified letter that we got said that it's housing, apartments, and I can't remember what the other one was. So, can you tell us, is it going to be?
This is zoned non-residential.
Okay, and we are up, yeah, we're up higher. You'll see Salida, Solomar Drive there, down a little bit to the left. Yeah, right there.
Okay.
Yeah,
That area, the area outlined in yellow is what we're talking about.
okay, yeah, so that doesn't affect us.
Doesn't sound like,
Yeah, okay, but, yeah, well, I guess my question then is pointless, but, all right, but hey, I'll get in the minutes, right? Thank you.
We have 15 ballots in favor of the extension.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll move to the public hearing where I will read a procedures statement. For those of you unfamiliar with our procedures, the Commission would like you to know the following. When we hear a request to subdivide land, we are only concerned as to whether the actual drawing showing this division into lots meets the technical requirements of our ordinance. The question of appropriateness has already been determined. Anyone wishing to make comments or provide us with the information regarding any subdivision petitions will be given the opportunity to do so. When we are hearing a request for a change in zoning, we are trying to determine if the new zone being requested and the uses allowed in that zone are appropriate to that property and supported by the comprehensive plan. With each case being heard, our staff will present its report, then the person requesting the rezone will be given an opportunity to speak. Following that, those of you wishing to speak in favor of the rezone will be recognized, and then those of you who wish to oppose it will have a turn. This will be your only time to speak. The person requesting the action will be allowed a rebuttal. Plan Commission members will then ask questions and finally vote. Please limit your statements to no more than 5 minutes. We ask that you not repeat what others before you have already said. We are a 17-member body, and a majority of 17 is 9. Regardless of how many commissioners are actually present, at least 9 votes in favor or 9 votes against are required for our action to be official. If fewer than 9 of us agree to either approve or disapprove an action, that case must be heard again next month. Our vote on a request to subdivide is final. Our vote on a request to rezone serves as a recommendation to the appropriate city council, town council, or county commissioners, who must ultimately decide on changes in zoning. When addressing the commission, please state your name and address for the record. Cell phones must be turned off while the meeting is in session. If you need to make a call, please step out of the room before using your phone. All exhibits presented to the commission become the property of the commission.
I move that there be incorporated into the public hearing portion of each application to be heard this evening to become part of the evidence at such hearing, the Unified Zoning Ordinance, the Unified Subdivision Ordinance, the Comprehensive Plan, the bylaws of the Area Plan Commission, the application and all documents filed therewith, the staff report, and recommendations on the application to be heard this evening, and responses from checkpoint agencies.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Subdivisions.
I move to hear and vote on S 5000, Sagamore Commons Subdivision, Section 2, replat of Lot 3, minor sketch.
Second.
Mr. Burns?
Good evening, everybody.
You should probably clarify.
Okay, so this is a minor sketch plan, primary approval for a replat. This is Lot 3 in Section 2 of Sagamore Commons. And if you see on the aerial here, we are along the west side of Sagamore Parkway in West Lafayette, between Winhenschel and Cumberland Avenue. The purpose of this replat, and if I zoom in here a little bit to the aerial, is to add approximately 53 feet to the southern side of this lot. If any of you have driven by the area, you've noticed Culver's Restaurant is open for business. So this plat is simply adding 53 feet to the southern portion of this platted lot. Staff recommends conditional primary approval. The only condition that's a little unusual is the no vehicular access statement plat along Sagamore Parkway will have to be extended to this 53-foot strip being added to this lot.
Thank you, Mr. John Burns. Petitioner, petitioner's representative wishing to speak on this?
Yeah, good evening. This is Jeremy Elrod with Morley, project engineer on the project. Worked with Doug Bacon, our office, who's the surveyor, drew up the plot. Checking the staff report, it's all there, looks good. We've also reviewed those conditions, have no issues with those. I think it was explained pretty well here, but wanted to open up to any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Morley. Are there any questions from the commission? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this petition or in opposition? Hearing none, we have a white ballot.
Okay, we have 15 ballots in favor of conditional approval.
Thank you, Ryan. S 5001.
I move to hear and vote on S 5001, Purdue Research Park Barns subdivision, major preliminary.
Second.
Mr. John Burns again.
All right, so this land is part of the extension that was just granted at the beginning of the meeting this evening. And the purpose of this rezone, if we can see where we're at here in the middle of this field that's zoned I-3, I'll zoom in a little bit. The southern part of this lot here is the lift station, and the Parks Barn for West Lafayette was recently built in the northwestern part of this lot here. So this is simply adding a lot to the preliminary plat that you just approved and using a little bit of the land in the original preliminary plat. Staff is recommending condition primary approval, and petitioner has also requested permission to bond.
Thank you. Petitioner, petitioner's representative wishing to speak on this?
Hello, Cameron Seymour with Schneider Geomatics, here on behalf for Greg Martz of GM Development. This is a City of West Lafayette project. The Parks Barn has been built. We respectfully request approval as the staff has recommended. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Seymour. Are there any questions from the commission members? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this? How about opposition? Ryan, any social media comments? With that, we shall have our ballot. And reminder, they are requesting permission to bond.
All right. Okay, we have 15 ballots in favor of conditional approval with bonding.
Thank you, Mr. O'Gara. S 5002.
I move to hear and vote on S 5002, Oak Ridge Subdivision, Section 3, Major Preliminary.
Second.
Mr. O'Gara.
Okay. All right. This petition is seeking primary approval for 3 lots and 1 outlot on just a little over 10 acres located at the east end of Zinnia Street. Go ahead and zoom in there. You can see Zinnia Street stubs into this section of Oak Ridge from Winding Creek. Petitioner had different plans at some point. Those plans have changed. So they now intend to terminate this street with a private turnaround located in a commonly maintained access outlot. Go ahead and get into that. You can see down in this area here. Petitioner requested a variance from the standard that would normally require them to do a full cul-de-sac, and that was approved on June 7th. Let's see, all the public utilities are available to serve these 3 lots. Floodplain issues have been documented, and staff is recommending conditional primary approval. Of course, we have the variance issue, so we will have to vote on that, I believe, first, and they are asking for permission to bond. So, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. O'Gara. Petitioner, petitioner's representative.
Good evening, Dan Teeter, attorney with Riley, Teeter and Schreier, represent the petitioner. Darren Sorensen is the petitioner's representative in this matter. As staff indicated, we're requesting conditional primary approval with bonding for the 3 lots in question. We are also asking for a variance for no cul-de-sac at the end of Zinnia. We received a support from the county highway on this matter, and also the approval from the county commissioners for the variance request as well. As a result, we concur with staff's report, staff's recommendation, and we would ask for your conditional primary approval. Thank you.
Thank you,
Happy
Mr.
to
Teeter.
answer any questions?
Do we have any questions from the commission members? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this petition? How about opposed? Ryan, anything on social media channels?
No, we do not.
Okay, so we have, and Mr. Teeter, that was just 1 variance, correct?
That's correct.
So we have both the subdivision, and they've requested for a variance, so we staff number 1, and either approve or disapprove, and then conditional approval and request for bonding has been requested. If you would give Mr. O'Gara keep those separate, and variance first, please.
I'll be back. Lots of paper on this. Oh, I thought there might be some missing. I'm sure I have anyone. We have 15 votes in favor of the variance. However, 14 votes in favor of the subdivision. Who's holding out on me? That's why I have to do all this counting. And 15 votes in favor of conditional approval with bonding.
Thank you. Rezoning activities.
I move to hear and approve Z 2827 Joshua Shives R1 to AW.
Second.
Mr. O'Gara.
All right. Okay, this downzoning is a very interesting case. The petitioner plans to use the parcelization process, which is open to those ag zones, for 4 building sites. And so that is what is necessitating this issue. You can see in the zoning, it's very unusual, but we do have parts of the county, essentially before the adoption of the comprehensive plan, where we have R1 zoning off the grid, so to speak, off the water and sewer system. Since the late 70s, we've had this long-standing policy of that sort of zoning, R1 and more intense, has to be on public utilities. So we do have these remnants out there, and this is one of them. How this was zoned, it's lost to history, not really sure, but we do have areas of the county like this. So that's the situation historically. Citing questions on improved, as you can see, it's wooded, partially sloped. Land is used residentially, agriculturally, and as you can see, it's still a lot of heavily wooded areas with water courses going through many of them. This somewhat unusual tract, a little over 26 acres, is landlocked. By that, it has no access to any public roads, which will make parcelization a little difficult since you'll need access. The closest access point is cul-de-sac, which is down here to the south. That would be sort of the nearest point to a street that they could get, but they would have to obtain access easements to achieve that, or some other legal means to make that connection. But development obviously couldn't occur until access to public streets is achieved. So land in the request would be served by individual septic and water wells, of course, since we're off the public facilities grid. And any parcelization that would occur post-rezone would obviously have to go through our process as well as County Health Department, County Highway to establish that connection, and the Surveyor's Office for drainage. So this is an unusual case, but this is kind of a way for us to kind of repair old zones like this that probably should never have been put in place ages ago until public facilities are available. This is a very appropriate zone to at least make the land useful, have it be residential, albeit rural in nature. So we are in support of this down zone. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. O'Gara. Petitioner, petitioner's representative?
Good evening. My name's Josh Shives. My partner and I own this piece of land that's 32 acres and 26 of it going for the rezone tonight. We do have under contract that small little, it's 40 feet wide by I think like 100 roughly deep, connecting to the Lindley Court under contract right now. So that would be our plans moving forward for parcelization. I think he said we wanted 4 lots. We're going to be 5. With the smallest being 2.2 and the largest being 14, roughly, approximately. But we're not looking to do anything too extreme. Otherwise, we would have gone for subdivision. But yeah, so I request that you grant this, and hopefully we can move forward on some large lots out here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shives. Any questions from the commission? Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Opposition? Social media? Carrier pigeon? Okay. With that, we have a yellow ballot. That's not it, Jackson. Don't let Larry screw this up.
Larry's already.
We have 15 votes recommending approval of rezone 2827.
Thank you, Mr. O'Gara. Z2828.
I move to hear and approve Z2828 Heron Bay Development LLC, R1 to R1B with commitment.
I second.
Mr. O'Gara.
Okay. All right, you have 2 staff reports. One was for the original version of this petition. We wanted to include the history since, the zoning patterns, area land use patterns, all of that information was still relevant. But I'm going to turn our attention to the second report, the R1 to R1B, which is, of course, what this petition has been changed to. So we have an addendum, or an amended report, essentially, that I'll be reading off of here. So we're within city limits of West Lafayette. We have Salisbury Street to the north as it transitions into a county road. We have the Arbor Chase subdivision immediately to the east, and we have a lot of R1 zoning kind of surrounding the undeveloped areas. Floodplain has been addressed. That's why you see the change there in the legal description to account for that small little area of floodplain zoning. Go ahead, and as you can see, the site is undeveloped and in ag production. Fairly simple petition. As you can see back here, we do have really a balance between R1 zoning and R1B zoning in the immediate vicinity. Arbor Chase itself has the villages of Arbor Chase dead center here that's zoned R1B. So this particular zone is already part of Arbor Chase, and it's immediately adjacent with the R1 zone portion in between. It's a good balance of providing a variety of different lot sizes, and it's certainly supportable given the fact that it's already nearby, as well as we have plenty of examples in the larger vicinity here of R1 and R1B, and even some R1A zoning kind of side by side with each other. So let's see, I believe we do have a commitment on this project. Let me go ahead and look. They have a non-binding site plan here that sort of provide a kind of a window into what their thinking is. Obviously, this plan will change in the subdivision process as they kind of more fully engineer it. But the objective here is to have a minimum lot width requirement of at least 67 feet. Which exceeds the normal 50-foot for an R1B lot. So this would not be a standard R1B subdivision. They would have larger lots ostensibly. And that was intentional on the part of the developer, and he can explain his reasonings for that. So as I said previously, given the fact that R1B zone is in the immediate vicinity and within Arbor Chase itself, staff believe this is a logical extension of this development pattern, and we support both the rezone and commitment. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ryan. Petitioner?
Again, for the record, Dan Teeter, attorney with Riley, Teeter, and Schreier, represent the petitioner. Greg Malakis is present this evening. He'd respond to any comments or questions that you might have regarding this matter. As staff's indicated, requesting rezone from R1 to R1B with a commitment for 28 acres. It's on the east side of Salisbury in West Lafayette, Indiana. My client's going to develop this acreage for an 82-lot subdivision. What you see up there is basically what you're going to get. It's very difficult to change that because of the commitment we have. So unless the police or fire have some additional matters to it, it probably will not change much. And we've generally talked to police and fire on this as well. With the commitments, all lots are going to be a minimum of 67 feet wide. The range of lot width is 67 to 81 feet, and the depth of the lots will be 135 to 154 feet. The lots will range in lot area, but there'll be approximately 10,000 square feet on all the lots. Additionally, the lots that border Arbor Chase there on the east that you notice, those all meet or exceed the R1 standard of 10,000 square foot lot area and 75-foot lot width as well. In my opinion, this rezone will only add 8 additional lots versus if we would do this on an R1 subdivision. So I would submit to you that's a minor difference between the request and what it presently is. We agree that we've amended our petition from R1A to R1B, and the sole reason for that is to be able to have greater building coverage. In R1 and in R1A, you can have a 30% lot coverage. In R1B, you can go up to 35%. I'll explain why. Because the largest house that he could build would be 2,250 square feet. But you have to add to that the garage, which is 600 square feet. You have to add the front porch of 150 square feet, and you have to add the rear porch of 300 square feet. Generally speaking, that's what most people want. When you come away with that, you have a total of 3,275 square feet. So that is the reason that we want to do R1B, the only reason, so that we can put an adequate house that these people are looking for would like for this particular lot. Other than increasing the lot area, lot coverage, we exceed all R1A standards and we come very close, in my opinion, to meeting all R1 standards as well for this subdivision. Our product's going to be for the empty nester, generally speaking. This is product that Greg's done before and been very successful with it, and there's a lot of interest in that. Also pointing out to you that we have a roadway connection with Burnley Drive and Arbor Chase, and as staff has indicated, Arbor Chase is a combination of R1, R1B, PD, smaller lots as well in there, so again, I think we fit very well with the surrounding area with this. That roadway connection is required and demanded by area plan, by West Lafayette, by West Lafayette Police, by West Lafayette Fire, and by West Lafayette Engineer. They want to see the ability to have access between the subdivisions, and they also want it for emergency access as well. I think you're going to see very little traffic from our subdivision going to Arbor Chase. I think what we'll see is traffic coming from Arbor Chase through this subdivision to get to Salisbury, because it's going to be a quicker exit for some of those people to get there. Additionally, I would point out, I think staff really hit it on the head on this one when they said that you're going to see more R1A and R1B developments because of affordability. We've seen what's happening and how you can't even buy a house in West Lafayette, or if you go, there's 10 people to buy the one house. So we definitely need more housing. We need to have something affordable for the younger people as well. I think this is a great start to add to that. With that, I concur with staff's report, staff's recommendation, and I would request your favorable recommendation. Again, happy to answer any comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Teeter. Any questions from the commission members? Do we have anyone wishing to speak in favor of this petition?
Good evening, Erin Easter, Director of Development, City of West Lafayette. As Mr. Teeter indicated, all of our requests have been satisfied and we are supportive of this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Easter. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Opposition? Citizens' comments? Or, excuse me, social media?
No, we don't have any.
With that, we have a yellow ballot, Z2828.
Do we need two ballots? One for the commitment?
I'm about to pass out a second ballot.
Okay.
Thank you. Vote on these separately.
Yes, separately and commitment first.
There we go. Perfect. Just for clarification, we are going to be having one ballot. The first one, which we will be voting on, will be for the commitment, whether you agree or approve or disapprove of the commitment.
I have 14 commitment votes. We have 15 votes in favor of the commitment. It's a great idea, different color. Write that down. Let's do a different color.
I didn't quite hear that comment. Get different colors for the, yeah, right. It would make it a lot easier. This is the worst that happens. We're in good shape. They can sign it.
We have 15 votes in favor of the rezone as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. O'Gara, petitioner. Z 2830.
I move to hear and approve Z 2830, R. Greg Suter, aid RE.
Second.
Mr. John Burns.
Okay, this next case is a rezone to the RE or rural estate zone from the agricultural zone. If you look up here on the aerial, what's outlined in red is the 28.145 acres. This is near the intersection of County Road 450 North and the Hoosier Heartland or State Road 25. Petitioner is requesting this rezoning to complete a 12-lot rural estate minor subdivision, which is the maximum amount of lots that can be done in a rural estate. The criteria for rezoning this land can be met. 51% of the land in this request is either wooded, untilled, pasture, or not been farmed. The average lot size and density meets the requirements. 1 acre minimum is the minimum lot size. The smallest lots are 1 acre, 1.5 acres. I'll go to the plat here so we can see. The lots range from 1.5 to 4 acres. Sanitary sewer is beyond 1/2 mile from this property. And if I zoom back to the zoning map, the only other zoning change in this area, if you'll notice, is a very large area of general business zoning at the intersection of the Hoosier Heartland and County Road 450 North. That's 53 acres of general business that was approved in 2013, which is still yet to be developed. So that's the only thing that's a little bit different out here. This area of the county in Washington Township has several large lot, single-family residences that were either established through parcelization or minor subdivision. In fact, the petitioner has recently is working on a four-lot minor subdivision for land that's just to the southwest of these 12 lots in this request. And if this is successful, a second phase of 12 lots is proposed in the northeastern part of this drawing, but that will come later. Staff can support this request. Not only does it meet the criteria, but it adds to the rural enclave of large lot single-family homes that we have in this area of Washington Township. Like I said, it doesn't take out the productive farm ground. This is backed up to the top of the bank where a lot of the lots are wooded. So staff thinks that this meets the intent of the RE zone and supports the request.
Thank you, Mr. John Burns. Petitioner, petitioner's representative wishing to speak on this? Petitioner online? Okay. Do we have any questions? Yes, sir. Excuse me, from the commission members first. Okay. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Opposition? And name and address for the record, please, sir.
Dale Nicholson, 6651 North, 1000 East. It's neither in favor or opposed. I just have a question. The proposed Americus Buck Creek Colburn Sewer District, the boundaries were recently extended to include the road frontage here and the end of this lot. Will these, if that district goes through, will all of these lots be served by that sewer district?
Ryan?
I don't know, maybe Tom could help me out. I don't know what the timeline is for the implementation of that, but it could be kind of a chicken and egg thing if, if this gets in first, but once public sewer is available, usually there's a intent to connect. Is that right, John?
What I do know is that the regional sewer district boundary does go to just to the north of this property, so I think it's coterminous with the southern rezone legal description. It's my understanding that because of the timing of this, that the sewer will not be available in time for any of these lots to connect. So this will kind of get ahead of the game of the sewer district.
And I might add, Dale, although I don't have this overlaid with that plan right now in front of us, but when I looked at it, when I saw this on the agenda, it appears to me that most of these lots, if not all of these lots, are outside of the district as it has been drawn. I think there are some existing homes when you look at this particular plat that are right off of 450 North that would barely be in that, but I don't believe any of these existing lots are.
Okay, it was the northern boundary, on the map on the website, it shows it taking in the lower part of this property, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, and I think these,
Okay.
it appears to me that these platted lots are further north than that. But
Okay.
I'll have to do an exact overlay
and
with having them be the same
Honestly,
size.
I didn't realize, it was the 4-lot subdivision that I thought we'd be talking about tonight, and that one is included, so I wasn't familiar with exactly where this one was, so, thank you.
I think
You're
the
welcome.
area that you're seeing is the road right-of-way that would be included to run the lines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Nicholson. Any other questions, comments? Social media, Ryan?
No comments.
Okay, with that, we have a yellow ballot, Z2830.
As we're voting, a procedural thing, if a petitioner's not here, do we rezone their property? I can't remember what we've done in the past. Okay,
I'm here online.
there we go.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
There you are, sir, welcome.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's Bob Gross. Thank you, Bob. We just wanted to make sure that this wasn't a phantom rezone.
We have 15 votes recommending approval of Z2830.
Thank you. On to administrative matters. I believe that's to you.
Yes, my pleasure. This topic is what excites the heart of municipal lawyers. So if you wanted to know what that was, you're seeing it. It's because it's a big change. It gives the option after we're out from under the governor's order, which may occur as early as the 30th of June. It gives the option for people to participate virtually. Now recall, the only people that we're talking about here are members, you folks, okay? After, before, anytime, I could participate virtually. We could have Greg Suter participate virtually. It only pertains to the members who are going to be voting. So that's the only real issue. 30,000-foot issue is this is going to allow some flexibility if you choose to give yourself that flexibility. Not required. You could say, no, we'll not pass this and we'll go on as we have before, which means after we're out from under the governor's order, probably on June 30th, we'll see, not sure. You could continue on forever with physical presence only. That's it. Now, people could phone in and listen if they were a member, but they can't vote. This allows you the flexibility to have members who are, for whatever reason, not going to be physically present, to come in virtually, and as long as they can be seen and heard simultaneously with the rest of you, they can vote on most things. Not all things, and we'll talk about that in a minute. There's some pretty common sense sort of restrictions on that. If you choose to have this resolution, the state law has lots of restrictions, and again, I think they're common sense. You have to have at least half the people here present. You got to have physical presence of at least half the people, so we're not going all virtual. When you look at what was going on in the legislature, you had the public access counselor who's in charge of anything to do with public records and public access of any kind, wasn't really a big fan, and the argument that was being made by the public access counselor to the legislature was government means people looking at each other, talking to each other, physically present. That was sort of the general position that the public access counselor took. And on the other side was, wait a minute, it's 2020. Well, it was easier when we think about the fact that we have been in COVID, but forget that. We have ways now, without COVID, to be almost present, virtually present, as they say, and you can be seen, you can be heard. So it's up to you what you do. The first 6 sections in the resolution that you have are all state law. Those are requirements. You cannot vary those. That's the way it's going to be. And one of the biggest restrictions, other than that 50% rule, is you're not going to be able to take votes on major decisions. Now, what's a major decision? Budgeting can be a major decision. Cutting staff is a major decision. The power of eminent domain, which you don't use. But there's a bunch of rules in there because the legislature decided if you want to vote on a big decision, and they're listed, you're going to have to be there physically present. So there are those exceptions. There are exceptions also. You can't do it more than twice in a row. You cannot be virtual 3 times in a row. And you can see the rules in there. There are emergency situations. Yes, you get an exception to an exception. If you have an emergency, you have a health emergency, things of that nature. It's got some flexibility to it. It was a long, drawn-out negotiation, I think, at the legislature to try and get something that kept physical presence as the major mode of governing and also allowed virtual participation. So with that, and I know some of the other bodies that the folks are involved with have already looked at this. It is an option that you have. It is a tool that you can put in your toolkit if you choose to. You can pass it any time you want. You could pass it tonight. You could pass it at the next meeting. It doesn't matter. There's no limitation on it. So with that, I will take any questions and discussion.
Well, and I was going to have Mr. Leverance, Chair of the Ordinance, speak to what was discussed at Ordinance, because if you'll recall, last meeting we punted this back to Ordinance. Larry was very thankful for that, and so here he is.
Yes, Ordinance took this up at our last meeting and talked about, some of the ramifications of all of the options that we have on the table. But I think in the end, it was suggested that we just go back to our normal way of operating, that we if you are not at a meeting, you are not at a meeting, that we're essentially going to in-person meetings. That was our, I don't know if I would call it a recommendation, but that was kind of the what came out of Ordinance, that we just kind of put this on the shelf, and that we, if it becomes apparent that we may need to do something along this line, then we can do it maybe at a later date. But at this point, we would rather, we would say we would rather, at least from Ordinance Committee, go for straight in-person meetings as we've done in the past. Those on Ordinance Committee, is that a good representation?
And one other thing, Mr. Burns, just clarification, and we can change this, should we find it to be a need, we can change this at any point in time, even prior to a meeting if necessary.
Yes, you could. My thought is that you want to keep changes to the necessary changes because the public's going to learn to rely on certain things, and so to the extent that you can keep it consistent, that's certainly helpful, but legally you can change it every single meeting.
Okay, wonderful. So with that, I believe no further action is needed if that's the route we take.
Sure.
Now we can, any questions, discussion, anyone?
I guess I'm curious if we've ever had a situation or how often we are in a situation where we don't have a quorum. I mean, I don't recall that happening very often. I've been around a little while. It's just not a problem.
Not with this group.
I think I've been 10 years, 11 years, and never, Gary, you can speak longer.
Never had a problem with quorum.
Yeah.
Good point. I might add, Jackson, we talked about at the Board of Zoning Appeals, and we kind of did the same thing. We just tabled it and thought we'd go back to live meetings. You know, you can't predict the future, but if something got bad again, we would guess that the governor would come out with another order that would cover us, and we'd kind of automatically be in that mode. But there's benefits to live meetings and petitioners and people wanting answers to be able to speak to people that are here, and sometimes even after the meetings, those conversations take place. So that was our...
And that doesn't preclude the possibility that someone who is out of town can't be at the meeting, but has something they're interested in and wants to view it, they could log in like everybody else and watch it.
Yeah, great point. It will still be, all meetings will still be live stream going forward.
Thank you.
Technology's in place. No reason.
Yeah, great point. Thank you.
Do it.
Okay. Well, there we are. So that's just tabled, and we're on to approval of the July Executive Committee agenda. Thank you all.
I move that the following request for a subdivision be placed on the July 7th, 2021 Area Plan Commission Executive Hearing Agenda, Executive Committee Agenda, petitioner's request, placement thereon being without reference to compliance or non-compliance with the adopted subdivision ordinance. That'd be S5007 South Lake Minor Subdivision Minor Sketch.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
I move that the following requests for variance from Unified Subdivision Ordinance are not requests for use variance prohibited from consideration by ordinance and statute. BZA 2052 Fox Acquisitions LLC, BZA 2057 American Realty of Lafayette LLC, BZA 2058 Daniel L. McDole, and BZA 2060 Roru LLC.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That carries. Director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Bogan. The director's report was emailed out yesterday. I'll highlight a couple things. First, we're going to start this Friday the task of looking at our public notification requirements. The origin for this maneuver, this effort, is we want to extend the minimum lead time that is required between the day a petitioner mails out notification to neighbors to the day of the hearing, from 10 days, which is the current state minimum, to something along the lines of 21 days or maybe even more. What we found is that certainly as staff, we're very cramped in terms of being able to properly digest and review variances, rezonings, because the lead time is so short. There's not enough time for communication with the petitioner, for site visits, for communication with interested neighbors. There's not enough time for neighbors to talk to staff, for neighbors to talk to petitioners, and that's one of the reasons you very frequently see people come in who are clueless as to what's going on and ask very rudimentary questions. And so we want to be able to take care of some of those things, and I think that there aren't too many jurisdictions still that just lean on that 10-day state minimum. Typically, the average is 21 days up to 28 days. So we're going to be looking at extending that. And while we have the hood open on that, we're going to look at making the letters that do get mailed out to neighbors a little more user-friendly, a little more lean and useful. Right now, they have half of it is the legal description, which is of use to nobody other than the occasional lawyer, maybe. So we're going to look at the public notification process and streamline it, make it a little bit more friendly, and open it up a bit so that there's more time for all interested parties to digest it. So that's one thing. The other thing is that we are going to be hosting, as one of 14 statewide metropolitan planning organizations, the APC is going to be hosting the annual Indiana MPO conference this October, probably October. So that's kind of a big thing that I arrived just in time for. So that's just a heads up to let everybody know that that's on the agenda too. Any questions about those things or any of the other pieces of the director's report?
It is sad to hear we're losing Rabita.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, very sad. Almost 6 years here, and she got pulled in by Purdue. The College of Engineering is asked her to become, and she's accepted, kind of a liaison between the school and the development community in placing students in practicums and internships and things like that. So she's no longer an employee here, so if there's an opening on the APC or the BZA, she'd be a great candidate. But we're sad. She's super talented. July 9th, last day. Yeah.
She will be missed, and we wish her the best. Anything else?
No, sir.
Citizens' comments? Anything on social media?
Nothing online.
Well, so I get to say something now. It's with a heavy heart that I got to announce that someone who's become a friend is actually leaving us, and his last meeting is this evening, and that's Mr. Roland Winger. He served for, do you know the number of years?
I think 11 or 12.
He had brown hair before. And we had a plaque for him, and it was a walnut plaque, but I sold it because lumber prices are up, and we were able to make a pretty good mint. But that is coming your way, and our apologies for it not being here this evening. But you will be missed. I know I have learned a lot from watching you. I cannot thank you personally enough for all of your efforts in finding Mr. Hiddle. Roland was instrumental in that process, and he likes to give credit to others. He was the one, he was steering the ship, and thank you. I couldn't have thought to have somebody better there. So thank you. If anybody else wants to say anything, please take the mic.
I will say, and this will be brief, that I am thankful, I am honored, and I am proud to have been a member of this body with many of you for many years. This is the community governance in action like no other, and I love this body. I'm going to miss this. Don't tell my fellow council members that I'll miss this more than I'll miss council, Lisa, with you. I guess that's now part of the public record. But it's just been a wonderful experience, and I think this is one of the least appreciated beauties of this community that keeps it feeling like the community that it is. So thank you and good luck to your work ahead. Appreciate it, Jackson.
Thank you, Ron. The thanks goes to you. So as we have done one other time that I'm aware of, you get to adjourn the meeting, but we will take it from you first.
You want me to adjourn first?
Well, excuse me, you have to adjourn it, and
Right,
then
yes.
you get to slam. Nah, I'm not passing the gavel. Just adjourn the damn meeting.
So do I have to make a motion, or can I just declare us adjourned?
Yes.
I've just declared us adjourned.